Curtis, you can just hear the excitement in Chewy's voice that now she gets to do the intros again. Can't you just
I think
hear
that's
it?
our brand now. It's just having an intro that we're not excited to do.
Well, that's not going to bring in any viewers.
I mean, I had to trudge through how many SNL intros? I think Chewy
Not
can do
enough.
a few more.
Not enough.
Ugh.
So hi, welcome to Behind the Hype, week 2 of Jamie Lee Curtis month. So excited to talk about this one. But before we get started with anything, before me even introducing anyone, I need to tell you guys something. I'm a little under the weather. It's not COVID. I got my test back. We're good. But my throat is kind of dying. So I'm going to try to talk less. I'm sure I'm going to fail because I always do. But if there's a little less Brian on this episode, that's because his throat is screaming. But I have my tea. I'm at water. Feeling good. Just really happy.
And you got a negative COVID test.
I'm really happy it's not COVID. that's like number one. So happy it's not COVID. It's just something else fucking up my throat.
Cool.
So today we have Chewy Darso,
Hi.
Jonathan Hardesty,
Yay.
and then from across the pond, Mr. Matt Dykes.
Really
Hello.
quite early.
Yeah, it's 4:45 in the morning for you?
Yep. And I have work today as well.
You have to
like
be the only
4
person I
hours.
know who is willing to wake up at the ass crack of dawn to talk about a movie.
Yeah, because this time tomorrow morning, for you, in correspondence, essentially, I'm going to be banging at my phone to be like, shut up.
Oh, yeah.
Alarm.
Yeah, 4:45. I was like, hey, do you want to talk about a movie? She'd be like, fuck off.
I would just miss the alarm.
I mean, my alarm went off at about 10 to 4 or something like that. And I was like, ooh, yeah, podcast recording. Yay.
Yeah.
You get a text from me at like 4:10, like, good morning, sweetheart.
Yeah. Or was I say something like, oh, hi, babe. Something like that.
Oh, that's even better.
It's a great way to start the day. So I don't have a where have they been doing this week. John, did you have one?
No, unfortunately not. I've been working a lot, so no.
Yeah, I was gonna try to watch something, and then I got my Friday the 13th box set in the mail, and all chances of watching anything that doesn't have Jason Voorhees in it kind of went right out the window. So next week I'm gonna try to watch something else with Jamie Lee in it. I want to go to some of her TV work because I know she won a Golden Globe for being on a TV show in the 80s at some point. I want to go try to find that show. I think that'd be kind of cool. But nothing for this week. So this week we are talking True Lies, and oh boy.
True lies. Who
This-
is the liar? Which lies are true?
Aren't they all? Are they all false truths?
False.
He's just a salesman.
He's just a computer salesman. Fucking, my God.
It's Arnold
That's some
Schwarzenegger, a
weird
computer
hours for
salesman.
being a
Like
computer
that's.
If you're not already onto him by that point, that's like, okay.
I am a computer salesman. So he's a spy.
I like the new IBMs.
I mean, it's like one of the things
What do you
that
think about
really
Pentium
sort
3
of-
processors?
Get on the computer chip.
One of the things that was like really obvious this time viewing as well is like how ridiculously big he looks. Like when he gets into bed with Jamie Lee Curtis at the beginning, and it's like it's when he hugs her, it's like literally like he's hugging a teddy bear, like a small teddy bear, and it's like he's not a computer salesman.
Well, and if you have a good sound
There's
system,
no
you hear
home
the
gym.
bed. If you have a good sound system, you hear the bed go, "Oh my god!"
Oh, yeah. Ow! But, like, when this movie started, I'm like, he actually looks a little trim in this movie. Like, I'm used to, like, Brick House Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's not... This is small for him. He's still huge.
Are you sure
this
that's not
is-
the ratio that we watched it in?
Yeah, did you have the ratio off? Because to me, he still looks big. I mean, like it's really obvious in the bit at the chateau when he's running down the hill, and it's just like this hulking sort of lumbering like square, basically,
I'm
just
not
like
saying-
bouncing
I'm
down
not
the
saying
hill.
he's tiny. I'm just saying for Arnold Schwarzenegger, this is like as close to everyday guy I think he is in a movie.
That might have a lot to do with the costumes.
That could be. They could have just dressed him slimmer.
Yeah, and they don't have people rubbing him with baby oil and shading in his muscles as much.
Yeah, maybe it's just that.
Yeah.
Less baby oil.
Yeah.
Baby oil.
All right, before we get too far into this thing, though, we need to do a very quick breakdown. And Matt, as this is the day before your birthday, having you on for your birthday, big happy birthday to Matt. Enjoy your mid-30s. They're a blast. Do you want to do a quick breakdown for us? Just kind of as quickly as you can, just summarize Last Action Hero.
Yeah, so basically Arnold Schwarzenegger is a computer salesman with a wife who's having an affair on him, who's not actually having an affair. And, it turns out he's a spy.
Sorry, I realized I said Last Action Hero again.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I even named the episode Last Action Hero because it's just going to happen. Okay, yeah, so that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Let's get started. So this is a movie from early 90s, mid 90s, 94. James Cameron film. Yep, 94.
Oh.
I mean, it's the closest thing to a Bond film that had come out in 5 years as well, really.
Yeah, it kind of scratched a few itches. And I was reading an interview with Mr. Cameron in American Cinematographer this morning, as a matter of fact, where he was talking about like the 90s being this period of time where audiences have kind of gone, we've seen it. Like, we've seen the explosions, we've seen the gunfights, we've seen the car chases, we've seen the Arnold, we've seen it. And James Cameron went, all right, well, I need to give them something they haven't seen. And it's a whole interview with him and his cinematographer where there's like, the cinematographer's like, yeah, when you look at the call sheet and you look at the equipment and you see tanks and Harrier jets, you know it's going to be a bad day.
Just shoot it.
Apparently they shot the film over like 7 months. Everything leading up to Christmas, they were shooting like 6 or 7 day weeks at 16 to 18 hour days.
Oh boy.
Like, it was just the most brutal shoot. They did say after they came back from the Christmas break, they all felt like they'd gone through war together, and the rest of the shoot was just a cakewalk. But up until then, it was just the most difficult shoot. And to James Cameron's credit and to cinematographer's credit, to everybody's credit, it's all there on the screen. Like, if you had thought you had seen it all in 1994 and then this came out and you kind of have this James Bond vibe, you have the big action vibe, and the movie, it does a better job than I'd say almost any film to this point, and then almost now, of one-upping itself. Like, this movie pulls off a hat trick that I didn't think really possible for the 90s, and then I look and compare it to movies today, and it's like, it still does action better than most.
It makes
like, this
me
movie
really,
is just amazing.
It really makes me wish that James Cameron would do more just action films. And like action comedies as well. I think this is the only comedy film that James Cameron's done, and he handles the comedy elements really well.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I was reading somewhere that like the reason why there's actually so much comedy in it is because they wanted, like, the terrorism level stuff is quite realistic in terms of, like, you know, at the time how easy they discovered it was to actually smuggle in like weapons into the US. Like, 'cause they did like research on how they would do it, how the terrorists would get these bombs in, and they were like really surprised at how easy it was. Obviously that changed after 9/11.
Yeah.
But in order
Hope
to
the
try and
bombs
get people
changed
to
sooner. That was just them hijacking planes.
Yeah.
but in order to like get like to not inspire people to try things like that, they wanted to up the comedy elements, and like they basically put the comedy to the limit as to what they could do for it to be acceptable and not like verge into the sort of slapstick sort of parody area. But it's still like in some places it does go into that sort of parody elements as well. But I think he handles that comedy really well, and it is just like, I always look at this film and think it's a shame that he doesn't just do more straight up action comedies, because I think he'd be really good at it.
Well,
we
it also
kind of
helps
need more
that,
of those now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like, it really helps his casting. Like, I mean, Tom Arnold aside, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he has brilliant comedic timing. Like, you go through all of his repertoire, like, his movies might not be the best. Like, you might watch Kindergarten Cop and go, this is kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, his comedic timing throughout that entire film, throughout this entire film, throughout most movies where he plays a comedic role, he's spot on. Like, he is not a bad comedic actor.
Yeah, no one ever complains about his comedic timing in these movies if they don't like him. That's never the problem.
Yeah,
he is
it's
never the problem.
No, like, and you put him up with Jamie Lee Curtis, who'd made a very good career on being funny. Like you look at her in like A Fish Called Wanda, she's hysterical. and you put those two
Yeah.
together here, and it's just like this was meant to be.
The weakest link is Tom Arnold.
Yeah.
Because even the terrorist guy, just his eyes, like, they're so diabolical with his gigantic forehead.
Oh my
And
god.
he just looks crazy and hilarious to me in general.
Well, that and like you get him on that fucking car/horse chase throughout.
Oh god, that thing. Like, how is that horse?
Oh,
No
man.
way.
It's
I
like
absolutely love that scene though. Like just the
Trying
bit where,
to
like,
the
make it
idea
quick
that a-
because my horse is getting tired.
yeah.
Your horse.
Yeah, it's just the idea of a horse, period, without a rider, keeping up with a motorcycle, and then you tell, all right, horse, you gotta keep up with a motorcycle and have the Terminator on your back.
And I still think the best thing throughout all of this is we've seen Arnold smash through how many buildings at this point in his career? Like he had the entire 80s and 70s of just basically walking through walls. But you never see him on going, sorry. Like, everywhere he goes. He even gets on the elevator with that couple. I'm really sorry about this. It's like,
I love that bit though. Like there's that because I remember watching this the first time I watched it. I think we got it on video. So I don't know. I think it probably came out at the cinema in the UK in '95. So probably about '96. So I'll have been about 9 years old or something. And I just love the bit where the old woman was like, "Say something," and the guy just goes, "It's a fine animal," and then the tail sort of flicks in her face, and she just sort of goes, "Mew." It's just that noise. And she made it just get. I was just laughing so much throughout this film, and it was partially laughing at how funny it is, but it's also partially laughing at like that nostalgic memory of laughing about it when I was a kid, and like laughing at all those things that made me laugh so much as a kid watching this film. And like the horse race, the horse chase, it is ridiculous, but it is like I do what you were saying about with Arnold. With Arnie sort of like constantly just saying sorry throughout it, and it's just so good. It's like a federal officer in pursuit of a suspect just like rags the guy off the horse. And he's like, sorry.
and I like the sorry continues throughout the entire film. Like even when he's like in the jet trying to take off and just knocking shit over, you can hear sorry.
Sorry.
I mean, like there's that massive fight in the bathroom, and there's the old guys on the toilet, and he just like as he walks past chasing the guy down, just like, sorry about this.
And I'm like, that guy's dead. I mean, no, he's right in the movie, but
Chewie brought up a good point during that scene. Is that the same bathroom from the Henry Cavill fight in Mission
it
Possible?
looks like it.
That's
It
what I
looks
thought,
so
too.
much like it. I was thinking that, and I was thinking
I was
they've
waiting for
got
someone to come in there and
If
like charge their fists up.
Yeah.
If it's not the same bathroom, I would almost bet money that someone pulled this movie up as a reference when they were making Mission Impossible.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I want this.
100%. Just
Yeah,
the bathroom fight itself in Mission Impossible is literally, it's just like, oh yeah, this is really cool in this. Let's do this, but let's one up it a little bit. And the design of that bathroom, I've never been in a bathroom like that.
No.
Really.
And how did two movies have the exact same layout? Like I think it's either exactly what Chewie said. It's either like a reference or they use the same set or the same location.
Yeah. But they
I
destroy
don't even think
it
it
so
can't be a
much that it's
location.
hard for it to be a location.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So then
like,
it's
it
gotta
can't
be a
be a
reference.
location.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
a
like-
set.
Because I can tell you...
Who directed that Mission Impossible Fallout? Was that
McQuarrie?
Chris McQuarrie. Yeah.
was it McQuarrie?
It might
Yeah.
not even be a reference. I mean, I couldn't tell you. When I was an art PA, I was asked many times to pull up scenes from other movies as inspirations for what I was working on.
Oh, so not necessarily like a reference, it's just inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this worked really well for them. Can we tweak it here, sort of
Yeah.
thing? Yeah, that makes sense. Because that fight sequence works. I mean, that's like just putting it out there. Every action sequence in this movie, and this we're watching a 24-year-old film at this point. All the
26,
actions,
Man.
26, yeah. All the action films, all the action sequences hold up. And I mean hold up as in compared to modern films. Like I'm very fortunate that my job that I can't say where I work let me see Tenet this week. And I was just doing mental gymnastics the whole time, like comparing the action sequences in this film, in True Lies, to Tenet. And I'm like, True Lies did it better. Like, I Christopher Nolan can put together an action sequence. Don't get me wrong. The guy is great at it. But, like, there's something about James Cameron and the way he just kind of commands those scenes. It's like, this is what Michael Bay thinks he is.
That was kind of the big
Yeah.
surprise to me watching this, because it's been years upon years since I've seen this, and I wasn't expecting it to hold up nearly as much as it did, especially in the action, and having a great sense of geography the entire time I watched this movie. I was very surprised by that, and that I could even look away and come back and know exactly where everyone was. I don't get that a lot, so I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, like even like ridiculous scenes like the world's longest bridge chase. Like, how fast are they going? Like, how many miles is that bridge? Good
I
lord!
mean, I think that's a real bridge. I forget.
It is a
what
real bridge, but it's not. That's way too long. It's like the runway at the end of Fast and Furious 6. Like, okay, we get
it
it.
just keeps going.
Like, no runway on Earth is that long, but it made sense for the action sequence.
Yeah.
Same deal here, but it still works with what John's saying. Like, you still know throughout the entire thing, like, where the bridge is out and where the limo is, and you don't question it until basically the scene's over. Like, that scene went on for like 5 minutes, and they're going 100 miles per hour that whole time. My middle school algebra teacher makes that bullshit. But
I was more concerned with how is the corpse still pushing down on the pedal?
yeah, he had a heavy dead foot.
Yeah.
Well, he was a heavy-looking guy.
He kind of looked like a hobbit.
He did. Do you know what? Do you know what I think he looked like? He looked like John Rhys Davies, who played Gimli.
Oh, he totally does. Yep, I see that. You don't see it?
I think that's an insult to him being a rather attractive man.
I mean, like with
Or are
like
you
the
just
full
saying the limo
Gimli
driver's an
beard and
attractive
everything.
man?
No, the limo driver looked like he had a puffy face, curly hair.
See, that's an insult. The other
Yeah,
one's
I
saying
know.
this guy's attractive.
That's not an insult. This is an insult.
I'm sorry.
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 I'm not attracted to you.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Federal agent here. Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, man. So let's talk a little bit about the actual people in this movie. Like, we kind of talked a little bit about Arnold's comedic timing, but we didn't really talk much about his character or anything he does with it. And there's something to be said about Arnold Schwarzenegger, because this is not the end of like the time of Arnold, but it's getting kind of close to it. Like, Arnold sort of started petering out mid to late 90s, and then he started getting into politics, and he just took a really long fucking break after that. But like, I wouldn't say this is peak Arnold, because I always think peak Arnold like right in the beginning of the 90s. This is kind of coming down off of that. But this is still like high quality. If he's in a movie, people are going to it. And they're going to it to see Arnold. They're not really going to see him act very much. They really just want to see like, oh, I want to see Arnold in this movie. It's like, oh, I want to see Arnold with space age guns in Eraser. I want to see Arnold do this and this. Like, it's like, they don't really care about the window dressing just so long as he's there.
To be fair, though, he had just come off of a failure, which was the film you keep calling this Last Action Hero. That was, that was like a bit of a commercial failure. So it was one of the reasons why he actually teamed up again with Cameron. It was like he brought Cameron in to this film because he wanted a hit, and he knew that Cameron could do it.
I mean, he was right.
Well, yeah.
But there is that sort of like, yeah, this is kind of like when people, it's exactly what James Cameron was saying in that interview. People had seen it before. Like, they kind of knew what they're signing up for. And I gotta say, having seen the majority of his work, this is one of those few roles where I'm like, no, he was acting in this. And I actually think he did a really good job. Like, he did a good job of playing a somewhat insane, jealous husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhat. That's my biggest problem with this movie.
He does play it rather fast and loose with the taxpayers' money.
And totally, he kidnaps his wife and then forces her to go into what she believes is a life and death situation.
She said she wanted it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a bit of excitement.
It's not really what she meant.
Yeah, I don't think when she said she wanted excitement, she meant she wanted to be forced to strip for a stranger, but
To pretend to be a hooker. And to have her family threatened.
Okay, well, that wasn't supposed to happen.
No.
Yeah,
but
that wasn't part of the plan.
I could tell you, if I went through all of this, I would be like, all right, we're going to take a break and figure out things a little bit.
But that's kind of my point, though, is like Arnold at this point had been pretty much just Arnold in most things. And in this movie, he legitimately had to do both, like, I am the secret spy, I am the charismatic spy, and I'm a crazy fucking jealous husband who I'm gonna hunt down Bill Paxton to the end of the earth and make him piss his pants.
Yep. Another
Twice.
thing I kind of forgot about this movie is just that he's playing different roles. He's got some stuff going on acting wise,
Yeah.
and just having seen a lot more of his other films more than this, I was kind of getting ready to just be like, here's the Arnold show. We're going to, have him do his thing. And no, like, even in that scene we're talking about where he makes Jamie Lee pretend to be a prostitute, it was interesting. That's not Arnold Schwarzenegger that you know from other movies doing like that scene. It was very weird.
And he actually, like, tries to be sweet with her afterwards, which was horribly misguided.
When?
like when she's on the bed and he's like, oh, I'm gonna do the rose, like,
Oh.
horribly misguided.
When she thinks she's about to be raped?
Yeah, he could not be reading that scene worse.
Yeah.
Like,
Because in her mind, she's about to be raped.
Well,
and
she's-
he's like, I'm having a romantic moment with my wife.
she's gonna be so happy when she realizes that it's me and not that. Why is this woman hitting me with a phone? It's like,
Gee, it's
you
almost-
deserved it.
Yeah.
You crazy fucking asshole. But I also, like, the movie doesn't try to play him up for this. Like, the whole time this is happening, Tom Arnold and everyone is just like, dude, no, you should not do this. This is stupid.
But they all go along with it. Probably because
Are you gonna say no to Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No,
I mean, there
I'm
is-
not.
One of my
One
favorite
of the best
moments in
bits
this
in it.
movie is when Tom Arnold gives him the didacted notes or whatnot from
Oh my
the
God.
wiretap,
I was literally
and
just
he
gonna say the
immediately
same
notices
thing.
The page is missing. Then he just
Give me the
punches
goddamn
window.
page.
Give me the page. Yeah, that's great. And that's Tom Arnold cannot keep up. This is maybe the best performance Tom Arnold ever gave.
Absolutely, this is the
But
top of his
it's-
career.
But it is still nothing compared to Schwarzenegger.
Well, Schwarzenegger's firing on all cylinders. Like, I put this up there with, like, best of his career.
Yeah.
Like, he did such a good job in this, and it's exactly like what John and I were saying. Like, it's because he has so many different, like, roles to play throughout it, and he does them all perfectly. But I particularly love crazy jealous husband. Like, yeah, just punching out a window. Like, I almost wanted Tom Arnold to be like, you should get that hand looked at.
No, he's not.
I just love that look he gives there. He just looks at the window, and then he's like, okay.
Here's the piece of paper.
Yeah, okay, so she did talk to Simon.
Seek help, Harry.
Yes.
But I love that, like, so you have the crazy jealous husband, and then, like, as soon as they reach the peak of, like, how crazy, jealous, insane is he gonna go, this other movie from the first, like, from 45 minutes ago of, like, oh yeah, he was a spy fighting terrorist, just comes fucking crashing into this, like, rom-com farce thing. And it's like, oh wow, this is we're going back to an action film now,
Do
aren't
they
we?
ever explain how the terrorists find them in that hotel room?
Well, they
They're
knew that he
terrorists.
was in the hotel room. They knew he had a suite there.
How?
Because it's the same suite that he's been using for his cover.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, because there's
I
a
didn't
line in
catch
it where it
that.
says, "I can't believe you're using the suite at the marquee," and then Harry says, "Well, do you think I can afford a suite on my salary?"
Oh yeah, so they knew.
Oh, all right.
So they
Didn't
went
catch
on
that.
the assumption that it was, the Rehnquist guy who they've been checking out.
Gotcha. Yeah, because then after Arnold, the only person left to really talk about this movie. Well, I guess we should probably talk a little bit
Jamie
about.
Lee.
Well, I was gonna say Jamie Lee, but you gotta say her for last. It's her month. We gotta talk Tia. Well, what's her last name?
Tia Carrere?
Yes,
Tia
Tia
Carrere.
Carrere.
She
What
looks
happened to her?
amazing.
I don't know. Like, I don't know why
She was
kind of.
fantastic in this. She was around. She was like a hot thing for like the early 90s. Like she was in Wayne's World. She was in this, and then she just sort of disappeared.
That's kind of the thing that Brian and I were discussing is, she could have gotten labeled difficult.
Yeah.
Which, when you call that a woman that in Hollywood, a lot of times that means you're gone.
Yeah, as soon as you hear a woman, especially in the 90s, was quote unquote difficult, suddenly her career ended.
Yeah.
And you never know what that difficult meant to. And now, after, a lot of the
She
Me
did
Too
get
movement.
her
that
show
kinda-
Relic Hunter.
like,
Am I the only one that watched that?
I think so. And it could have just been that she didn't want to keep
And
acting. Like,
multiple
who knows?
seasons, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
it
what
also-
it was. Maybe.
I mean, it
like-
says on like Wikipedia that she's also done some more producing and voice work. So she's like the big sister in Lilo and Stitch, and done a lot of cartoon stuff after too. So Hey, it could be just like, I don't want to do movies too much,
Yeah,
something
and
like that.
it could have been her choice. But the long and the short of it is, like, we talked a little bit about her when we covered Wayne's World back in SNL month, and like, yeah, she was great in that movie, but she didn't really have a ton to do. Like in Wayne's World, she was a hot chick who played guitar and could really wail, like that's pretty much the beginning and end of her character. This one, she has a lot more. Like, she gets to be like menacing, and she gets to be evil, and she does a really good job of it. I specifically love the moment where Jamie Lee like smacks her with her ring turned inside, so it cuts her cheek, and you just see that look on Tia's face, like, oh, I'm murdering you now.
Yeah, it's just such a cold look, and she just sort of like very casually just raises the gun.
Oh yeah,
And then Aziz just like grabs her hand and like in the air. It's perfect. Like, I was thinking about this when that scene happens. Like, there's a lot of perfectly timed moments in it as well. Like, he grabs the gun and pushes it up just as she fires it out of the way. You've got the bit in the bathroom where Arnie moves his head just as the guy shoots. And there's a lot of those moments where, it's sort of like it's perfectly timed. Like, I was thinking like any hesitation from the characters who, and the person who's getting shot is dead. But yeah, just going back to like her performance, like Tia Carrere's performance as well. It's just she's so menacing. Like, she starts off as just like, you think, oh, she's just like, she's gonna be the innocent Bond girl who's caught up in it, and then very quickly, when you like, the more you see it, like, no, she's in on it. No, she's just evil. She's
just
batshit
wants money.
mental.
She's a businesswoman.
yeah. Like by the end of the movie, it's like, oh no, she's just one of the full blown villains, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't really have a problem with you going off the bridge in that limo. Bye bye.
I do love that bit where she comes back around and she just looks through the windscreen and just like, shit.
We do have to mention real quick that this is one of the last, I would say one of the last roles for Charlton Heston. I don't know how much he was acting at this point.
I think he was still doing a few things here and there. Like, I think one of his last roles was unfortunately Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was actually.
Was that his last?
Boss.
I think it was his last.
The eye patch and everything. He just looked.
What, you mean Nick Fury?
Cartoony.
He looked like Nick Fury. Like, it was Nick Fury.
Right. Well, when I was watching it, I did actually put Nick Fury question marks. I was thinking, was it inspired by Nick Fury? And then I was reading through the IMDb trivia, and apparently it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently they modelled his entire appearance on Nick Fury because James Cameron is a comic book fan, and he wanted to be a comic book artist or something like that. That was one of his sort of career paths that he looked at before he became a film production artist or whatever you call it.
All right, I'm definitely wrong about it being one of his last movies.
Yeah, he kept going for a while.
Also, I didn't know Charlton Heston was a narrator in Armageddon.
I didn't know that either. Huh.
I didn't know there was narration in Armageddon.
I think there's like a bit at the beginning.
Guess we'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, we have to rewatch Armageddon now.
I mean, we knew we were going to do a Michael Bay month at some point. It's coming. It's down the road. It's going to be a rough month, but
I don't know, The Rock's a good film.
Yeah, there's one. He's got a...
Does it have to be Michael Bay?
The first Bad Boys film's good.
Can it be, what's his face?
Yep.
The actor? Bruce Willis?
Oh, Bruce Willis would be
There's plenty
a fun
of Bruce
one.
Willis movies I haven't seen.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a shitload of Bruce Willis movies. He just spent the last 10 years just going direct to DVD every other month. He's got a lot of movies.
Oh.
Has he got divorced recently or something? I feel like he's just got a lot of bills to pay.
Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of doing a Nick Cage ride right now. Like, good luck, buddy. Hopefully you'll find something.
I mean, the moment I knew that there was something going on with Bruce Willis financially was when I saw him on a Sky advert in a dressing gown.
Yeah, we don't get the Sky adverts over here.
No. Can you send us a photo?
For research.
Might even be able to find it on
Curious.
YouTube, to be fair.
Yeah, I'll
it's
definitely
ridiculous.
All right, well, if that's pretty much everybody else in the movie, it's time to talk about Jamie Lee. Jamie Lee has won 2 Golden Globes in her career, one for a TV show and one for this movie.
I just love movies that cast beautiful women, and they're like, all right, she needs to look dowery for a while before we realize she's hot. And I'm like, really?
Glasses
Like,
and a weird haircut.
Yeah, okay. You're gonna put her in layers of clothing.
And you'll have Bill Paxton talk about how she doesn't know how hot she is. Yeah, the entire audience is like, it's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
She's a babe.
She's hot.
But even still, she manages to like carry herself in such a way that you almost believe it. Like her performance before like becoming like before doing like opening up and being hot again was convincing. Like she had a great physicality to it.
Like there's for everything we said about last week with her, like Knives Out, where she just made it work. Like she told everything physically because she didn't have a lot of lines, she didn't have a lot of screen time, but she was still incredible in Knives Out. Is the opposite here. She has tons of dialogue, she has tons to do. She has so much work to just carry this film, and she fucking nails it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because she doesn't really have much to do until 43 minutes in the film. I was sort of, this time I was watching it, I was like really paying attention to like Jamie Lee Curtis, and I was thinking she's got nothing in the first bit of this film. So I think like if I was watching this for the first time, I'd be like, why did they even cast Jamie Lee Curtis in this? It's literally she's just there as like a background thing, and then you sort of like very slowly it becomes more about her. And then like that's when like the performance really starts, and I think it's really quite interesting. I think it's quite a good flip of that, because I sort of look at this film. It's a little bit like a buddy cop film with Arnold and Tom Arnold, and with buddy cop films, you like the main relationship is usually the two male leads, and like if one of them's got a wife, they're just sort of very sort of 2-dimensional in the background, and it feels like that to begin with, and then it becomes something else, and then it becomes about Arnold and Jamie Lee Curtis's relationship, and
then it becomes him with a plane.
Yeah.
Because he leaves.
Yeah, no, it's still a buddy cop movie all the way through. It's just that it changes the buddies. First, it's Tom Arnold, then it's Jamie Lee Curtis, and then it's the plane.
Yeah, that tracks.
I still think one of the best sight gags in the film is the Harriers landing, and the camera slowly drops down. It just says "No parking on the hard shoulder."
Mine is still just. I think my favorite gag in the whole movie, if it's not the motorcycle horse chase, is him taking off of the plane. Like, especially because Tom Arnold's like, it's been like 10 years since you've flown one of these things, and like as he's like, he's horrified, and he's talking to the guy who owns the plane, and he's like, "No, you never forget. It's like riding a bike."
The pilots are like, "You got to sign for that. You got to sign for that, sir." And Tom was like, "Oh, I'll sign for it. You got a pen?"
You just see him take off, and it's the worst takeoff. It's just like, whoa. Oh,
it's so bad. It's
he's
so bad.
He's a little restaurant up. That is a trademark Tesca takeoff.
He's
manages
doing
to
what he
run
does.
over the police car with a plane.
Sorry.
We might want to seek shelter.
Such a good bit. Anyhow, Jamie Lee. Back to Jamie Lee.
She freaking. Can you imagine how, like, you get stuff nowadays that you never got back in the 90s when you get information about how people have to treat their bodies to get to a certain physique. Mm-hmm. Like, we constantly hear about how the Marvel guys have to do these insane diets and workouts to get their, like, jumbo bodies to play Thor and Captain America.
And, like, they can't drink water for like 48 hours before they're on set, so their muscles pop. Like, it's just like, what?
Yeah.
So can you just imagine what Jamie Lee must have, when they told her the striptease thing and the dance that she had to do in this movie. Like, what did she have to do as prep to get that slender, chiseled look that she had?
She looked.
Apparently, she worked out every day, like literally every day.
She probably did a lot of swimming, honestly, because like you mentioned, she was just shy of having a 6-pack, but she definitely wanted that like that smooth female stomach without being too muscular.
Yeah, like
so
I watch a lot of
swimming,
American Ninja Warrior. Like I've seen that physique a lot, and she looks like she's, like I said to Chew and watching, like she's like 3 workouts away from like a chiseled 6-pack.
Yeah.
And like, bear in mind as well, nowadays that sort of working out thing, they've got a real science behind it. I mean, they had it back then, but they've really sort of like honed it now, which is why you get a lot more of the regular actors starting to get like Arnold Schwarzenegger style physiques for films, because they've really sort of honed the science of doing that. Like how to make it look good for the camera.
Yeah.
Like they're not drinking water 48 hours before.
I don't think it was quite as honed at this time.
No, not quite.
So I just want to give chops to Jamie Lee on whatever she had to do. It was worth it.
Oh, even with
It looked great.
Even with what Matt's
Yeah,
saying,
that's what I mean.
the science
It's
to get in
like-
the body, it still takes a shitload of discipline.
Yeah.
Like you don't
Yeah.
just, it's not like a switch.
And that just makes me remember when she had her like anti-Hollywood phase where she let her body be her body for a little while, and she came out in this photo spread where she had a little bit of chub over her underwear line and all this stuff, and she was talking about being brave and embracing who you are, and I'm like, God, it just makes you think, be like, what was going through her head? What was she living through where she got this, which was amazing, but then she felt like she had to do the opposite at some point.
Or maybe it wasn't that she had to the opposite. It was just like she wasn't going to crack to Hollywood's whip.
Yeah.
Like she just didn't need to be the picturesque babe at all
Yeah.
times, and she can still be a gorgeous woman
And
while
she
not
was.
looking
She
like
always
a
was.
plastic doll. And like she, in my mind, has proven that. Like I still follow her on Instagram. She's still gorgeous today.
She
It's
totally
Jamie Lee.
is.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
But I just remember it was a big deal when she did that. When
Yeah.
she came out in that photo spread to show, be like, no, I actually have some fat in my body now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do yogurt commercials.
But like all this aside, like we've said it a few times now, but like she did just such a good job in this movie, and I credit a lot of that. Kind of like what we were saying with Arnold, is that she didn't just have one role to play here.
No.
Like she had the whole like kind of mousy housewife, and then she had the I want to be a secret spy, and then by the end, like she only plays that role for all of 2 minutes in a scene, but by the end she is a spy. Like
Yeah.
she has like a full arc here, and she nails every step of the way. And I think that even speaks more volumes. Thinking what Matt said, she doesn't really have anything to do until 45 minutes into the movie, and she still gets all of that done.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel weird. Like there's something about a good James Cameron movie where it's like, oh wow, when he's on his game, everything clicks.
James Cameron knows how to work with his actors,
Yeah.
and he knows how to pace things out where you actually earn scenes. You're not just given them.
Yeah.
It's weird watching a movie where the scenes are earned, and you then stop and think like, oh shit, the scene was earned. I don't know. It's weird sometimes watching action films, and a lot of things just happen because they have to happen plot wise, and it was like,
Yeah.
no, naturally this happened because this happened and this happened.
That's
Like,
why Michael Bay will never be James Cameron.
No, and like that's kind of like, don't get me wrong, I love the Marvel movies. They're a blast, but like a Marvel movie, it's like there's an action sequence now because it's been 15 minutes and there needs to be an action sequence now. It's like that's just kind of how it goes. And like you have a very Marvel-esque action sequence at the end of this movie. You have people fighting outside of a mode of transportation. That's like the Marvel 101. Like put them on a train, they're going to jump outside of the train. They're going to jump out of cars, they're going to jump out of planes. We get it. This one does that exact same thing here with a 13-year-old girl, a terrorist, and Arnold Schwarzenegger in a plane. And it's one of the best action sequences, I think, ever in a film. And it doesn't feel out of left field. Like you can see the natural progression from how the movie started to where it is, and it's like you're watching this thing with grinning ear to ear, like this shit is ridiculous, but it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny as well, and it's funny. Like the one problem I have with Marvel films is when they inject the way they inject humor into the action scenes, because they do it through dialogue, or they make it ridiculous, like way too over the top ridiculous. And like that scene on the plane is funny, like because you've got the plane is just spinning around, and it's the sort of like the way they edit things. So they cut into, that office building where that guy's cleaning, and you can hear the music he's listening to, and you can just see the plane just spinning around in the background, and then it just comes crashing through the window, and then you've got like the gag of as he's going flying back and right between the legs on the tail fin thing. I can't remember what you actually call it on the plane.
And also
parts.
the joke is set up really well. Like the humor of that final scene is set up properly.
And it's set up as
like I
well
said,
to-
I like
he's
the
now-
Marvel movies, but their jokes tend to be jokes to put humor in it. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, we just watched, like, a minute, like, 2 minutes of the worst jet takeoff in history, and now he is trying to, like, keep his daughter safe and fight terrorists on that same plane using the same, like, awkward maneuvering. And it just, because of that foundation being so funny, first of all, all this other stuff is just starting to land because James Cameron teed up all that stuff perfectly.
Yeah.
And the gag of him getting hit between the legs on the tail fin, it's not just a gag for the gag's sake. It then sets up that now he can get his gun, because his gun had fallen off earlier and got snagged on the thing. So it's all sort of there for a reason. It's not just we'll throw in a gag here, we'll throw in a gag there. It's all sort of very quite well designed. Like even with like Jamie Lee Curtis's when she goes into that hotel room and she's like dressed sexy and she's got that big sort of like dress thing on,
the frilly dress thing.
She's like catches a look at herself in the mirror and she's like, oh god, and then she just starts ripping all the frilly bits off and things like that, and then like gets some water out of the
that would never work. There would be just frayed pieces of that dress all over her. She would not look sexy.
Well, she pulls off one of the frayed pieces.
Yeah, they address that.
Yeah,
the
perfect.
one little string.
5 out of 5 stars. The movie's perfect. It did it.
Yeah, there's one little frayed bit that she just sort of like pulls that off as well, and it doesn't unravel the rest of the dress at all.
One of the funniest things for me during that entire plane sequence is the ADR for Eliza Dushku.
Oh yeah.
Don't let me fall, Daddy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
one, she didn't say that. Two, it's really on you at this point, girl.
Yeah.
He's driving the plane. Just hold on to it.
Yeah. He's not letting you fall. He brought a plane to you. Now hang on to the
Hang
fucking
on to
plane.
the plane.
I mean, I did notice a lot of the ADR on Eliza Dushku, just in general, in that last sequence, like when she's on the crane and she's holding on, and you hear her say something like, "Please help me," or "Don't let me fall," or "I'm gonna fall," or something like that.
There
I
was
can't
so
remember the exact
much
line.
ADR.
But you can clearly see her mouth does not move.
Yeah. It's one of those like, I get it.
I get it. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah. It's like, okay, she says nothing. This is kind of a boring scene. She needs to cry for help or something. Like, this isn't 4K. No one's ever gonna see this.
Cameron!
You know she's not gonna die because she's got to become a Slayer later.
Oh god. She's the worst Slayer.
But still, she had to become the worst Slayer so that
somebody had to become the worst Slayer.
Buffy could become
She's
the
not
best
the
Slayer.
worst.
Like,
she's just the most angry.
Her character is so goddamn annoying in that show. I'm not blaming Eliza Dushku. I just think that character is the most annoying thing. Faith, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian stopped watching Buffy because of Faith.
She killed it. She killed that show. I'm like, oh my god, I can't take this character. She is the worst. Unfortunately, it's tainted Eliza Dushku for me for a long time. But it's like, oh, she's good in True Lies. It's like saying Kirsten Dunst was good in Interview with a Vampire. She was great. She was 9.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we've missed? There's so much in this movie. It's 2.5 hours long. It's packed to the gills with action and comedy and great directing, great editing, great music. It's tough to touch it all, and we are here to focus mainly on Jamie Lee. So
there's that interrogation scene.
Oh yeah.
Like if you really want to talk about Jamie Lee Curtis's performance, her sort of like "I needed to feel alive" speech is just incredible. Like the dialogue's brilliant for that anyway, because it's like we've all felt like that. I think everyone sort of felt like you're stuck in a rut and you want to do something a bit crazy to get out of it. But the way she delivers that dialogue, it is just so powerful. And like, it's what we were saying. Like when we talk about Michael Bay thinks he's James Cameron or likes to think he's James Cameron, Michael Bay would never have a scene like that in any of his films.
No.
And it is just so, like, the performance she gives is just incredible in that you feel that emotion. You feel what she's actually feeling. Like, I've got the whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing out, but there's one bit in it where she just sort of goes on and it's like, it's like the sand is running out the hourglass. And you think, oh, God. Like, basically her way of sort of saying, I'm getting old now. I ain't got much time left to do something crazy. And I think we've all felt that at some point. We've all sort of thought, oh God, I'm getting too old to do this now. I'm getting too old to do that now.
Yeah.
And you know, just like the idea of like not wanting to regret not doing something, like, you know, like, see, look back and says, I did that, that was me, I was reckless and I was wild and I fucking did it. And it's such a good sequence. It really and it just, yeah.
In a weaker filmmaker's hands, I think you're right. I think that scene comes out because that scene grinds the action and the comedy, which that is the lifeblood of this movie, to a halt. It just kind of takes everything you've been enjoying and going, stop. We're going to tell you why we're here. We're going to explain the emotional drive of the film, and we're going to put it all out here raw and naked. And you're right, it is a great scene. All the way up to her exploding and trying to break down the window at them. Like,
she does break down the window. She could have kept going with that.
Oh, yeah. If she really wanted to get through, she was coming through.
Yeah.
I mean, that also, like, gives another great comedy moment, though, in the where the first ask of the question is like, did you sleep with her? And it's like, no. And then Tom Arnold's like, she's lying. And then when she's like smashing the window, and he goes, I think she might be telling the truth.
Oh, Tom Arnold.
I agree, he's the weakest link in this movie, but it is the best of his career.
And his character is such a supportive scumbag.
Right.
She's having an affair. Welcome to the club!
You did it, man.
He's a scumbag, but he is supportive.
Honestly, I don't think he's a scumbag, more the fact that he's just scared of Arnie. That's why he won't stand up to him. So that's why he lets everything go. Like, you know, he tries to stop him with the page thing.
He's the worst
and then
advice,
Arnold Schwarzenegger
though. He's like,
smashes
just
a car
throw yourself
window.
into your work.
Yeah.
That's how I deal with the drama in my life.
I just love that car window. Just, give me the page! Get help.
Because at that point, like,
like,
nobody's standing up to Arnold Schwarzenegger when he's just punched a car window out in front of you.
Right. And like, to Tom Arnold's credit, like, when I saw his name show up in the movie, I was like, oh, God. And then by the end, I was like, okay, you know, it worked. It was fine. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm not going to go seeking out
Cameron
other
actually
Tom Arnold movies, but...
Apparently he's been in a lot of things.
Oh, he acts all the time.
Yeah, this is probably the only thing I've actually seen him in, really. I can't think of any other Tom Arnold films. So for me, like, I don't really think he's all that bad as well. I think he's good. He plays the role that he's there to play. He's the comedic backing of Schwarzenegger.
Like I said, I don't think he's
James
bad.
Cameron actually fought for Tom Arnold. Like, he threatened to take this film from 20th Century Fox and go elsewhere because they were like, no, we don't want Tom Arnold in it.
I mean, James Cameron is willing to, like, when he likes an actor, he will back that actor. And, like, I have so much respect for him for that. Even if I disagree with some of his actor choices, like, when he thinks somebody's right for the job, he's not going to back down. And I think that's kind of cool, even if it does mean Tom Arnold. But like I said, I don't think Tom Arnold's bad in this movie. I just don't think he's good. I just don't think he keeps up with Arnold and Jamie Lee, who are batting 10 out of 10. I think Tom Arnold's, like, he's doing fine.
My thing with Tom Arnold is that he's just Tom Arnold.
Yeah.
I don't really think Tom Arnold's an actor. He can just look good on camera being Tom Arnold.
So
in
you've
different
never
jobs.
seen The Stupids.
No, he's still being Tom Arnold. He's just being a dumber version of Tom Arnold.
I mean, The Stupids is worth it just for him to hear him sing the Muppet song "I'm My Own Grandpa." It's a great moment in a horrible movie. I think we've done it though. I think it's time for some quotes, quotes.
Well, one last thing I would like to mention.
Oh, sure, go
I
ahead.
did write this down. So Jamie Lee Curtis actually did that helicopter stunt. You know, where she gets pulled out of the car and everything like that. And she was like, "Oh yeah." So like when James Cameron was explaining the sequence and like that he wanted her to do it, she's like, "Oh yeah, and where are you gonna be? Like sat like 4 miles away watching on a video." And Cameron said to her, "No, I'll be hanging out of the helicopter with a handheld camera filming it." And on that, she was like, "Okay, fair enough. If you're willing to do that, I'll do the stunt." And they actually shot it on her 35th birthday as well.
That's awesome.
She was 35 when she made this movie?
What'd you think?
Yeah. Well, 34 for the most part.
I feel her speech about being too old even more now. Honey, we need to go do something.
Yeah.
Can COVID be done so we can go do something?
Yeah, your mid-30s really play a mind fuck in your head, don't they?
I still need to jump out of a plane at some point.
No.
Maybe when I turn 38, I'll jump out of a plane.
We'll do it this afternoon.
Just make sure you've got a parachute on.
Well, I'll have an entire person strapped to me.
Yeah, we'll go tandem. That seems like the...
No, you're required. You can't go do a jump by yourself first out of the gate. There's like a lot of sky rules. I have a friend.
I would
Sounds
love
like
to
the
learn the
lamest
sky
movie.
rules.
No, I have a friend that actually went into being a professional skydiver, and he's just like, no one's allowed to do a single jump by themselves right away. You have to do like 5 tandem jumps or something before you can do single.
Makes
Cool.
sense. They
Yeah.
don't want people like messing that up, I suppose, and just
Yeah. You don't want to be the
pancakking.
person who didn't pull the chute at the right time.
Yeah.
I just want to see how close I can get to the ground before I pulled it, like in video games.
Right. Like Assassin's Creed. Jump from a super high distance and land into some hay. It'll work.
Somebody put some hay under me. Somebody put some hay under me.
You know,
Or like on GTA and land in some water. You're
that
fine.
one time in King of the Hill, she ended up in a full body cast, but she lived.
And then Adam Brody in the 10, you know.
Oh yeah, he was just in the ground.
Yeah, you just can't leave the ground.
Yeah,
Ah, I can't move.
that's real.
Okay, let's move into quotes. I'm gonna go first because I love mine, and it's a Jamie Lee Curtis quote because it's her month, and she, in my mind, has one of the best lines in the whole movie, and it comes right after the real sexy dance, and all the terrorists and stuff come breaking in, and Arnold goes straight into spy mode, and he's like trying to save the hook or whatever, just trying to get his wife out of the scenario, and you just hear Jamie Lee, who she's just like so into this spy shit, she thinks they're after her. And as they're dragging her out of the room, she's like, "Harry, let me handle it."
The best way that as well is the squeaking sound that they've edited over the shoes as well. And
Oh, yeah.
just sort of like.
That's literally what I was gonna do.
We
with
had
my
the same quote.
Yes.
That's funny. Well, you don't have to come up with a new one. We can do the same quote. That's okay.
It is one of the greatest movies.
It's such a good moment. Let me handle it. It's like, you were out of your depth. You cannot handle this.
She thought he was out of his
I
depth.
know. Oh,
I
man.
don't know what she was thinking, why he was there at all at that moment.
I just think she was confused at that moment. The bigger question is, what does Eliza Dushku think of her dad showing up in a Harrier jet? Like, Dad?
I do love that bit.
I-
It's like a proper double take moment. It was like, Dad?
What?
Can you imagine this movie but with Facebook being around or Instagram? Like none of this covert stuff would ever work.
No.
I was thinking about this actually. Even back in those days, like that's chase sequence, the horse chase sequence. Surely, the chasing, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, pretty. He's not an inconspicuous guy. So surely somebody who knows him or knows his wife or they know of him and would see him running around in the streets shooting a gun and be like, Helen, I saw Harry running around shooting a guy in the street the other day, and then he got a horse.
He chased a guy on a motorcycle for a long time. He tried to make the horse jump off a building. Your husband's crazy.
Was he selling computers?
Anything for that deal.
Yeah.
You're gonna love this Mac.
It's an IBM. You're gonna love it.
All right, John, you got a quote?
Yeah, it's a stupid line from Tom Arnold's character, but I thought it was funny this time around. They're following they're following Jamie Lee Curtis with Bill Paxton in the car, and he's got her head down on his lap. And the helicopter pilot's just like, "Oh yeah, she's got her head in the guy's lap, all right, Yahoo!" And Gibb says, "Maybe she's sleepy."
The helicopter pilot is actually voiced by James Cameron as well.
Oh really?
That's fun.
And he actually does. I knew the helicopter pilot bit, but I didn't realize until this time round he does the voice of the Harrier pilots as well.
Huh. That makes sense. Matt, what
So
would
the
your quote
helicopter
be?
pilot's also a Harrier pilot. Mine's a little bit long 'cause it's like a back and forth between Harry and Helen. So it's the
Okay.
bit where they've drugged him, and he's sort of out of it. In fact, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to do one part of it and then take another part of it as well. So the first bit is where Helen goes, "Is it working? Ask me a question I'd normally lie to. Are we going to die? Yep. I'd say it's working. They're going to shoot us in the head or going to torture us to death. Okay. Well, they're going to leave us here until the bomb blows up. Harry!" I just love that. It just keeps going. And then there's the look. there's another bit in between that, and then there's this bit which I just absolutely love because of the way Arnold delivers the line, where she goes, "Have you ever killed anyone?" Yeah, but they were all bad.
Yeah.
Oh god.
My backup quote wasn't even a quote. It was just the scene where like they're going to kidnap her, and like one of the guard, like one of the cops, does his job, and he like takes a gun to the back of Jamie Lee's head, and Arnold just turns on him like a dime and just clocks him.
I'm kidnapping my wife. You're not kidnapping my wife.
I love that. I absolutely love that bit.
He's so eager, and he was like, that guy gets up, that morning, like, I'm gonna give 110% today.
Yeah, like, he had to be like, "What the fuck did I deserve that for?" Oh boy. Okay, so double features. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Go for it.
San Andreas.
Oh God, why?
Because they're both bad at their jobs.
Okay,
You're
I can't argue with that.
When this situation's happening, you don't just appropriate government resources to go do stuff with your family. You're supposed to do your job.
Yeah, The Rock really drops the ball in San Andreas.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm supposed to be a helicopter EMT and help the entirety of Los Angeles. No, I'm gonna steal this and go try to save my daughter in San Francisco.
Go to San Francisco, bye!
Bye everyone that's dying in Los Angeles. And this movie, it's like, my wife's cheating on me. I'm gonna use all of the resources of the taxpayers to spy on my wife and kidnap my wife.
Okay, looking at it from that idea, you are spot on.
San Andreas. And they're both really bulky men.
Yeah.
Who love their families.
John, do you have one?
Yeah, and it's not because they're exactly alike, but after watching this movie, I would want to watch this one next, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Okay.
And it's more the idea of like the married couple doesn't exactly know what each other does, and it results in a lot of fun moments and a lot of action-packed moments. And as soon as this was done, I was like, I should find our copy of Mr. and Mrs. Smith and just watch it, because that was the vibe that I felt like after this.
I was actually thinking before that it would have been hilarious in Mr. and Mrs. Smith if they had had a cameo of Jamie Lee and Schwarzenegger at some point. Seeing those two guys, I can't remember their names now, Brad and Angelina.
Yeah.
Together, and they're like, oh, kids. They're so young.
They'll figure it out.
Right, yeah.
It would be a great cameo.
Yeah, no, that works.
Could have had one of them being the therapist they're talking to.
Oh, that'd been funny. Matt, do you have a good movie to double feature with this one?
Because of the whole Bond elements, I got caught up on a Bond film, and then I just couldn't think of anything else. Like, I kept thinking, no, it's too obvious, is that? But then I literally just got stuck with it. So then I went with GoldenEye, because it's both sort of early 90s films. Like, one of them's wanting to be a Bond film, the other one is a Bond film, and I just think it's, there's some similarity there as well, like the sort of elements of it in sort of like some ways. And I just think, you've got the Harrier sequence in this film, you've got the tank in Bond. It's like, those sort of like set piece type sequences. I think it'd just be a really decent sort of double feature. Like, you could just like look at True Lies, this is the only Bond film we'd had for the 90s so far, and then we got this 90s Bond film, and just like sort of see how much they were both influenced by each other. Because True Lies is so influenced by James Bond, and the fact just that opening sequence is basically like a James Bond pre-title sequence, and you even have him taking off the wetsuit and he's got a tuxedo underneath it. I mean, that's straight out of Goldfinger.
Oh yeah. So my double feature, it's coming kind of off of the interview I read earlier, where it's like, what do you do for an audience that's seen it all? And you kind of have to figure out a way to take what they've seen and repackage it in a way that is just explosive and still kind of fresh and new, and just kind of wow people in a way they didn't expect to be wowed. And it helps that they share a location. I'm going with Mission Impossible Fallout.
I thought you were going to go with Scream.
Oh, that'd been cool. But it just kind of like Fallout to me, it did it did the impossible. It took a franchise that had kind of done it all at this point and made a legitimate good movie. Like, it had a good heart to it. It had some funny moments to it. The action sequences were incredible. Like, it was just an all-around solid spy film. And it kind of caught me off guard. It's like, oh, I thought I'd seen it all. And then this was fantastic. And that's kind of what they said was the goal of this one. So I think they kind of pair well together with that in mind. But I think that's it. I think we true lied. That one's the easiest one so far, by the way. Far easier than Cats. Let's do a very, very quick round of plugs, and we'll say goodbye because we've been talking a real long time. I'll make it nice and easy. For this and every other show on the ATH Network, check out athpod.com. Chewy, you don't have anything to plug right now, right?
No, I'm good.
John, Demon Days, I assume?
Oh, yes.
And Matt, anything to plug?
My Hunt for October article, whenever it comes out.
Hopefully soon.
Oh, I
Yeah.
do want to plug one thing.
Oh, go for it.
The new Ryan Reynolds movie. Just because I freaking love that trailer.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it.
I'm-
I'll watch the movie. I don't want to watch the trailer.
I'm trying to remember the name of it right now.
Free Guy.
Free
Free
Guy.
Guy.
Free Guy, yeah.
Watch the trailer for Free Guy.
No.
It looks so good. Like, I'm really
Have
excited.
you seen?
to
Have you seen
see
the
it.
have you seen the thing where they're all on Zoom chat and they're all recording things for
No.
when they think it might come out?
No, I haven't.
I have seen that.
That's brilliant.
I just love that it's a combination of gamer, Truman Show, and Lego Movie.
Yeah, from the first trailer, it looked really good. I don't need to watch another one. I'm good. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Next week, be sure to tune in as we watch one of Jamie Lee's horror films. I haven't decided which one yet, but it will be one of them, and it will not be Prom Night because that'll be the week after next. It was going to be Taylor Panama, and then the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, we can find something better. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Tune in next week for another Jamie Lee film that I will decide over the next day or so. And bye.
Bye.
Sorry.
Sorry.
See you later, bozos.